highly valued structured content, it's paying off 10 years of work finally. For the people who maybe struggled to get some of that popularity in Google, it is absolutely paying off in AI search and AI overviews and things like that in a way that you always prayed and hoped for as a content marketer. Like the models want good content and they're good at deducing what is good content. AI slop will not get ranked. They want authoritative information.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. This is John Jantsch, and my guest today is Todd Sawicki. He is the founder and CEO of Gumshoe AI, an innovative platform at the forefront of AI-driven search and discovery solutions. With a background in digital media, marketing technology, and leading high-growth startups, Todd is known for his deep insight into changing landscape of search. We're going to talk about SEO. We're going to talk about AIO, AEO, all the other O's.
As long as we don't call it GEO, you can tell the person who came up with that had no background in marketing, because I'm sorry, the minute I've been in the paid landscape, the minute you see the letters GEO, you instantly think of geo-targeting. Like, hello, people. The last thing we want to do is make anything more confusing than it might otherwise be. So today,
with that, Todd's on the show. Welcome, Todd. So I kind of laid that out a little bit. You know, you've created a tool that is really taking advantage of some of the changes that are going on in marketing today, especially around search. So maybe give a high level, kind of in your view. Let's start with the basics. All this stuff we're hearing about, geo for one, AEO, AIO, all those kind of things. I mean, what does it all really boil down to for the typical marketer or typical business?
It is a good question. So I think we all woke up a year ago, and with the rise of zero-click searches, with AI mode in Google search taking off, and we began to see Google traffic starting to decline. And at the same time, if anyone was sort of looking at their like GA4 analytics or whatever they're using, they started to see, oh, look, I'm getting this new basket of traffic from ChatGPT and others. And so AI, and sort of looking at that, so the AI search is taking off. And so as a marketer, suddenly you had to start paying attention to this new thing called AI search. And so fundamentally, we look at it as, marketers want to understand what the hell are LLMs saying about me? And then from a product standpoint, we like to say, yes, we help marketers understand what LLMs think about them and their brands, and ultimately what to do about it. Yeah. And I think that's one of the interesting things is there's a lot more you can do about it, because AI search is a fundamentally different platform and approach than traditional search. And really, in many ways, I think AI search is solving a lot of the problems and complaints as end users we've had about traditional search. And then there's downstream implications for marketers and how to think about how you work with those platforms as a result.
Well, and I think you're hitting on one of the things that I try to get people to understand. Everybody always goes, oh, we've got these new platforms. But what they fail sometimes to recognize is that the buyer behavior is changing because of these new platforms, and how what their expectations are, how they now go even to Google. I mean, I'm seeing people do this. We used to put in these nice little compact searches. Well, I'm seeing people put in these very long searches now.
Exactly.
Very high intent, very filtered almost, because they know they can get AI overviews and things. And I think that change is really what we really need to adjust to, right? It's not necessarily the technology, is it?
I agree. Users have fundamentally changed, and you probably hear this even anecdotally amongst your friend sets. Like, you start kind of experimenting with ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever it is, and you ask it a real deep question that is very frustrating to get answered in traditional search. Right. And you would have to click through 10 things, and it was just a pain in the ass and took a lot of time. And where now you get a pretty good answer most of the time right away, and it fundamentally changes the experience. I mean, we're seeing dramatic changes, especially in complex areas like B2B type searches. Yeah. It's a great use case when you're researching very technical things. You're researching like more long tail areas for traditional search work wonderfully in the world of AI. And I think the other thing that traditional search really did a poor job of, and it really shows up in AI search, is AI search does a phenomenal job of personalizing its answers for you. Yeah. And that is one of the things that, even in terms of our own product and platform, the implications of that are very interesting. And so as an end user, right, what you imagine, think of the LLM as you walk into a shoe store, and there's a wall of 500 pairs of shoes behind that salesperson as you walk in. And the LLM is the salesperson. And so you're trying to, what's the right pair of shoes? Well, Google, it doesn't really ever answer. I need a new pair of shoes. You would never, Google just would struggle with that.
Or it'd give you the most popular shoes or
giving
whatever.
the most popular one. Exactly. Just giving the most popular one. But the LLMs are really trying to understand, are you a runner? Are you a hiker? And
Right.
you have an account, you register, they're building profiles of you, interestingly enough, right? The minute you put your email in, it knows where you work. It knows what you're affiliated with. And so as a result, your users are seeing that there's a value for that relationship between you and the LLMs. It learns more about who you are. It discovers things. It's trying to personalize the answers. And so it therefore can give you a better answer and really help you in a way that traditional search never quite got to.
And one of the things that I get business owners pretty excited about, because a lot of them are going, "Oh, this is all hype," or like, do I got to really do this, or am I really going to get AI traffic or not get AI traffic? So all these questions, and all I do is show them the analytics, and I am able to demonstrate that to them. The people who come from AI stay on your site 10 times longer and convert 7 times more than your paid ads, more than your organic traffic. And a lot of that, I think, is just what you talked about, because they're doing the filtering themselves. And if they get to your website, it's because you had what they wanted.
Right.
Right.
No, and we're seeing stats on the B2C. We typically see a little bit less than 7x, probably more in the range of kind of 2 to 5x increased conversions. On the B2B side, we're seeing increased conversion rates up to like 20x better. Because again, they're down the funnel. Because the right way to think about, if you think of from a marketer standpoint, let's think about the classic marketing funnel. There's discovery, then consideration, then conversion. Google managed discovery and then handed you off to websites to manage consideration, like your own website, some third-party writer, whatever it might be. But AI is trying to do not just discovery, but manage through the Q&A process, consideration as well, and then hand that user off for conversion. And so that's why you see these higher conversion rates. They're further down the funnel. AI has managed that. Now, from a marketing standpoint, your challenge is, I need to manage AI differently, because now suddenly it's the one selling my product. And I think that's the fundamental shift here as a marketer. Is you have to, going back to that shoe store analogy, that LMM as a salesperson means you're going to have to manage that person, right? That's now your job. Whereas SEO, and I think this is one of the other big changes, SEO is a very technical thing, like link building. And remember the ridiculous debate we had for years about, is it a subdomain or a folder? Right? Is that marketing? No, that's a very technical thing. And any non-technical marketer, whenever that discussion, and by the way, for those who are not paying attention, that went on for years. Like it was like a Reds versus Blues sort of battle in the online marketing sphere. But a very technical thing, not marketing based at all. And I think the difference is for LLMs, it's much more of how do I teach the LLMs what to say about my product? Just like I'd teach, a salesperson at the front of Dick's Sporting Goods store, kind of the same way. And so it's much more of a product marketing exercise than it ever was with traditional search. And I think that's the other thing is you're going to have to think about how you talk to the LLMs and how you market to them.
Well, and this gets at the crux of, a good salesperson is trained on, all the objections of, all the questions they're going to get, right? And so now all of a sudden our content has to be answers.
Correct. You absolutely. So one of the things, so Gumshoe as a platform we publicly launched it about 6 months ago, and we've already worked, more than 3,500 marketers have signed up. We've already generated millions of prompts on behalf of marketers so they understand what LLMs say in response to these prompts. And as a result, we're able to analyze those responses. I think it's like 10 million answers that we've analyzed. And then you start to see patterns in what they're doing, but they absolutely want you as marketers to provide them kind of sample question and answers back. Like one of the fascinating things about LLMs is they actually link. They prefer the number one source that they link to for product information are brand websites. And then within that, they link to product description pages or PDPs or product detail pages, whatever description you want to use. But the PDPs, FAQs, knowledge-based articles, how-to sections, they love that sort of informative how-to answer questions for them. And they use that as a guide. Now they process their own way, they kind of regurgitate it in their own way, but they want to use that as a basis. So you're right. You have to, just like you train that salesperson on rude Q&A, you're doing the same thing now with the models, which I think is interesting to marketers when they start seeing that and understanding, like it's now a marketing exercise and not a weird technical link building subdomain folder esoteric discussion anymore.
Yeah. And one of the things that we have seen, because, I've always believed that you do content right, you're going to get rewarded by the search engine.
Yes.
Well, we've been doing content right, in my view, hub pages, structured content, FAQs, table of contents, summaries, schema. We've been doing all that stuff because it was good content marketing. Well, the LLMs and AI are actually rewarding us for that work right now. Because we ranked high in Google, we are now ranking higher in AI overviews and in ChatGPT. Are you seeing that as well?
So if you don't have content online, it is hard for AI to even know you exist.
Well, yeah.
And so that's sort of step one. You'd be surprised at the lack of content out there.
Well, no, I would not be surprised.
All right. Well, you sell it. You sell these programs, but I think it's because everyone probably thinks everyone's done content marketing. That's not always the case.
Yeah. I always love it when we go to work with a new client and they say, yeah, well, our SEO firm is doing this for us. And it's like, what are they SEOing?
Like, there you go. Exactly. There's no content, anything else. And so the difference is here, you mentioned like you generated content. The difference here though is there's a subtle, benefit, and you kind of address this. I'm going to call it what you said, which is you're getting rewarded. But what's interesting is Google, it was rewarding popularity, not necessarily the best content and the most authoritative content. And what LLMs are doing is doing a much better job of rewarding the correct content. Yeah. So and we have a good stat around this, which is, so we look up the traditional Google rank of all the URLs that are cited by AI in its answer, in its justification for its answers. Yeah. The traditional Google rank is below 21, 50 to 90% of the time, meaning page 3 and beyond. So it's pulling out these, so it is looking at some of those that traditionally link to content SEO, but it was always these deep links. And the problem with traditional searchers is, we kind of generically use the stat, 1 out of 100 people go to page 2 on Google. 1 out of 1,000 go to page 3. 1 out of 10,000 go to page 4, and no one goes to page 5.
Yeah, that's where you hide the dead bodies, right?
That's right, exactly. You hide the dead bodies. But AI, to my stat, 50 to 90% of the links they surface are in that sort of buried in, because they have AI or machines, they have infinite patience. Yeah, so what they're good at doing is finding authoritatively correct, like we like to say, canonical information. And so as a brand, all that work that maybe struggled to get surfaced in Google because it just wasn't as popular or losing out to people buying links, now they're really, to your point, really rewarding good content. Yeah. Good, highly valued, structured content. And so it's sort of it's paying off 10 years of work finally. Yeah. And so the people who maybe struggled to get some of that popularity in Google, it is absolutely paying off in AI overview, AI search and AI overviews and things like that in a way that you always prayed and hoped for as a content marketer. Like, your day has come. Producing great content is a payoff, and it's happening. And I think that's really fascinating here, which is people are like, oh, with the rise of AI slop. No, the models want good content, and they're good at deducing what is good content. AI slop will not get ranked, and they want authoritative information. And so that's content that will get ranked in AI search and then drive traffic today and tomorrow, agentic purchases, right? You're ultimately trying to drive some to that conversion. More and more, AI will be driving that itself. Like Perplexity's browser will load a cart for you today. Yeah. Right. It's loading products it's picking on your behalf into that. So that future is coming fast and furiously. And so I think that change is sort of fascinating to see when you look at what's happening. Now, the other stat about what's really fascinating here is, okay, what if I haven't produced 10 years of content? Am I screwed? Well, one of the other facts that we've seen is that the average age of a cited piece of content is only 86 days old in AI search. And that's falling 10 to 15% quarter over quarter. Now, there's a caveat there, which is it doesn't have to be originally published. It just has to be updated. Like the AI will look at content that's older, but as long as it's been updated and you note that updated date, it will value that as well. And that 86 days is falling 10 to 15% every quarter. So today it's 86 days. Next quarter it's going to be 78, 70 the quarter after that. And so you get faster and faster. So you're going to have to be doing a lot more work around content, maintaining it, updating it. It's not a publish once and walk away model anymore. It's like being a constant refresh. And so, but the good side of that is you're just starting out. We've definitely seen this with people who you can impact the results well within a 90-day window, where traditional search, that was almost impossible. But and again, so there's definitely don't wait, get started.
Yeah. Well, but I was also going to say another best practice for years has been repurpose your content. And so, I mean, now it's like repurpose your content in a specific way, add FAQs, to that content, right? Right. But I think that's what you're saying should be very helpful for those people that just kind of wrote the 100 one-off blog posts. It's like, no, now go back and make that pay. Let's talk specifically about Gumshoe. I know that's what you want to talk about, but first off, I have an account. I've played with it, and it is seemingly incredibly complex what you've built. And so my first question is, Where did that come from? Are you a mad scientist, or did you hire people, or how did you develop
So we have a
that?
team, right? We have a team. I've been in digital marketing tech for 20 years in my career and got involved in, and really the common theme has been around customer acquisition, as it turns out. And I even view the purpose, we only care about AI search as marketers, ultimately because it can drive business, right? It'll drive traffic and revenue, right? So fundamentally it's and so I, 20 years ago, got involved in toolbars and search. Then I got into the social marketing landscape, just as that was taking off, like 2007 to 2012, and then got into paid and built a DSP, so in the programmatic space, and then was playing e-commerce and Shopify's ecosystem, building customer acquisition apps in there, and then ultimately transitioned here. And it was sort of the space of a year ago, it was talking to marketers, and again, the beginning of this conversation around AI search and the rise of that. And if you're a marketer and suddenly the channel you're relying on, Google search, falls off a cliff, and for some key keywords, I heard 30, 60, even 90% declines in traffic, even on the paid side. Like it just, Google is sacrificing even paid traffic on some keywords. So that's an existential change in the landscape. And then as we started thinking about this in terms of working with marketers, you're like, well, to what I said earlier, Gumshoe helps brands understand what LLMs think about them and then what to do about it. Well, where does that come from? Well, if you're a marketer, you can't just log into ChatGPT and find out what it's saying to you, because I don't know if everyone should go watch the season premiere, this fall's episode from Boulder Natives, the creators of South Park. The first episode this year, one of the main characters' dads is like falling in love with ChatGPT because all it does is flatter him.
Right.
And it says like every idea he has is wonderful and it's great. And he's trying to start a new business, and his wife gets all pissed off because he's constantly going to ask ChatGPT and says, see, I'm right. His wife's name is Sharon. See, I'm right, Sharon. ChatGPT says I'm right. And he's like, no, it just says it to everybody. And so as a marketer, you can't just log in and ask ChatGPT what it thinks about your business, because it's going to kind of lie. It's going to flatter you. It's going to say the most optimal thing it can. Because by the way, the minute you put your email in, it looks you up on LinkedIn. It knows where you work. It knows your products. It knows how to answer things. And so then you realize as a marketer, I don't care what LLMs say to me. I care what it says to my target customers.
Yeah.
And so the way that we built our product was around, how do you help marketers understand what it's really saying to its customers? And so our point of view is, well, how do we get in the shoes of that customer? And so what we do is we build these personas, which become synthetic users.
Yeah.
And so those are what are asking prompts of the models. So we have a better understanding of how will they talk to, how the models speak to these different customers. And those insights of like, okay, here's how, and by the way, the variety of answers between one type of persona and another is fascinating. And they're absolutely customizing their answers. Like, John, you've seen this, right? Just one customer will say, like, just imagine you're a hiker. You're going to get a different answer for the pair of shoes than if you're a marathon runner. And so that makes rational sense. As a marketer, kind of understanding this nuance and how it's treating different types of end users using AI search is sort of a fascinating insight. And it's cool just to look at the answers and see what they say to different things. So that's my point about marketers and the messaging and seeing how it talks to different people.
One of my first observations that kind of blew me away, frankly, was I just put in a company's URL, I think is all I did.
Correct. That's what you start with. You start with the URL. Correct.
And it came up with, I want to say 8, maybe it was a little more than that, personas. And we had already done that work, but they were very spot on, maybe even a little better descriptions. And what I found was interesting was it actually, all the analytics and search was great, but we actually got some messaging ideas just from that part of it. And that wasn't even the intent.
Well, and that's what I mean about it. I was talking with a head of product marketing earlier today, and I'm like, this is product marketing's moment, because AI search is fundamentally a product marketing exercise.
Yeah.
And it's a positioning exercise. And when you read those prompts and answers, we hear that all the time, because what we help you on, what we ask questions and basically ask questions around product areas for your business. And those will give you a set of responses like, oh, we recommend these 3 companies or these 8 companies or these 5. And then you see the rationale for those recommendations. And that's great marketing, right? Feedback. It's what's our positioning? What's our competitive positioning? You show this to any product marketing, like, oh my God, this is like my competitive messaging framework, which by the way, what you described, John, it's self-serve. You can do this yourself. Anyone can enter a URL of a company to get this. And in like 10 to 15 minutes, you're walking away with a really cool understanding of your product's position in the marketplace, at least the marketplace of AI search, which is meant to be a broader perspective of the world, obviously. Yeah. But I hear this all the time. It's fascinating. Like it is a total rabbit hole for anyone who cares about competitive or comparative messaging.
So the other observation is that, a lot of people that are talking about losing search traffic, it's for, let's say I'm a remodeling contractor. They're losing traffic for trends in kitchens, right? Which was not somebody that was going to buy anything, right? They're losing a lot of that traffic because they'd written a great trend article for 2025, right? But that was not going to ever convert. But what's interesting from what you're unearthing is you're unearthing all these really high intent searches. I mean, the search string is such that it's like, yeah, that person's looking to remodel their kitchen. And I think that's what marketers need to really focus on is forget about we do still have to do a lot of things to create awareness, but what we really need to focus on is high intent right now and capturing that search.
That is absolutely, I think, a change, which is you're going to go a little bit more down funnel. And because I think you can with AI search. The problem with Google is all those searches were so high level and so generic. It was hard to, you're right. The lack of long, detailed searches in Google meant it was hard as a marketer. You couldn't really target that sort of bottom of funnel activity. But AI is kind of all about that. And even if you ask a generic question, AI will follow it up with a more specific, like they want to know which direction they need to go. There's a back and forth that never existed in Google search that absolutely exists in AI. And anyone who's experienced this, when you go to the models, it'll ask for follow-ups. It'll clarify things. It'll make sure it understands what you're talking about so that its goal is to give you the very best answer possible.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great? You go to Google and say, no, that answer was wrong. Fix it.
Exactly. We all wish we could. Like that search, you'll get some results. You're like, that is a terrible link. And now with all the amount of Google searches that are so link baited to death, I love to give the analogy of in a lot, I said earlier, the AI search is fixing a lot of things wrong with traditional search. Like how many times in our lives, like you bought like a new TV and I just need to know the damn the width of it. So will it fit on my mantle or not? And you do a search and you get every link is 10 best this or 10 best that or trends of hot TVs this Christmas. Like I just need the dang measurement. Come on, Google.
Or a link to Amazon that's not even a TV.
Right.
Those are my favorite. So I'm sorry, we got geeking out here on like all the under the hood stuff. And I'd love it if you could just like give us the 2-minute spiel. What is Gumshoe? How does it work? How does somebody try it out?
So any marketer, it's a publicly available and you can try it out for free. You can generate a report about your company. You go to it, as John said, you're going to enter your company's URL. And then from there, what we're going to do is, again, show you what LLMs think about your business and product. You're going to select a product that'll generate personas, and then we'll generate the prompts that represent the activity that users are having with AI, and then run a series of real-time conversations. We turn those personas effectively into synthetic users. That's kind of the buzzy word. Synthetic is the ultimate now AI buzzword. It's a simulated user. It's a synthetic user.
It's better than that bot, user though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's better than that. We'll have a series of conversations with the LLMs. We kind of create those, and then we analyze the chat activity and kind of package that up in a way so that you can help identify areas, topics of these types of prompts where you're doing well or you're doing poorly. And then the next step is we also allow you to sort of then generate the content based upon, where your strengths and weaknesses are that through our platform that you can then host on your site. And the way to think of it is your personas are your predicted customers, who the LLMs think are your top customers. And then they want instructions. The content you generate is intended to be, or write on your own, is intended to be the instruction set back to the models. Okay, for these customers, here's the features and benefits that we believe appeal to them and why they want to pick our products. And ultimately, it's going to send traffic back to your site. And then you can help analyze that to understand, was it good traffic, bad traffic, what have you. And so the goal of our point of view is to say, again, how do we help you understand what LLMs think about you and then what to do about it, right? Ultimately, how do you capture as much revenue or as much referral traffic as possible from the LLMs? And so that's the way Gumshoe works. You can go to gumshoe.ai. As I said, you just start with the URL. And in 10 to 15 minutes, you're going to walk away with sort of insights about what you can do. And again, you don't need a credit card. That's just freely available. Everyone can create an account. And then the way we work is it's not a subscription-based, it's time-based. If you want to rerun a report, you want to run it again, like on a weekly or monthly basis, kind of track how you're doing, you would then sign up to pay an ongoing basis. And so it's just based upon how often you want to sort of leverage the platform and use it. That's the model. So feel free, once you generate a report, whether it's a free one or a paid one down the road, it's available to you for as long as we're around as a company.
Yeah. And one of the things that I failed to mention, you didn't mention either, is I thought it does a really good job at identifying competitors as well.
Correct. Because what we'll do is in those answers, we're going to get multiple companies' products recommendations, and we surface that to your competitive. Great point, John. Your competitive standing. are competitors doing better or worse than you in AI?
Yeah.
And that's obviously often a key indicator. And then we'll help you analyze where they did better versus you. So you know, to your point about messaging, right?
Yeah.
And the product messaging, like what features of a competitor are winning versus ours?
Yeah.
Is their positioning better? Is it something else? And that's sort of a great insight is who are all the other companies getting mentioned alongside you? And then we'll help you identify also what were the reasons, like what led to the models answering the way they did?
Yeah.
Like what citations and sources. So if you want to do outreach from a PR standpoint, we help you identify the places you should be going and talking to, or even Reddit or Quora threads you should be posting on.
Yeah.
We now have a feature where we'll give you a draft post for Reddit and Quora. Again, but it's based upon, strengths and weaknesses that we identified and said, oh, here's the things you should be talking about more to help you get more visibility to AI. And so that's sort of the goal here is how do we help you talk back to AI? So you're feeding it the features and benefits of your products. So they'll talk about your products next time instead of someone else's.
I'm starting to sound like an ad for Gumshoe, but we actually took a lot of the long tail searches and built some ad campaigns around them.
We have heard that because the persona piece is great for that, like audience targeting and things like that. No, we've absolutely heard that there's some interesting crossovers about this. Because once you realize it's messaging based, there's a ton of things you can do with this data. It's really, I'm not kidding about being a rabbit hole. Like you start reading the chats that we generate in Surface, it's really fascinating to kind of see what's being said and in a way that you only ever got through focus groups or weird surveys before. And now and again, in like 15 minutes, you're getting some really interesting insights you can then spend a lot of time diving into and learning from in a way that we just never had access to before.
Well, we've gone over time. I appreciate you taking a few moments to stop by the Duct Tape Marketing Podcast. It's gumshoe.ai. And Todd, again, appreciate you stopping by, and hopefully we'll run into you one of these days out there on the road.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time and attention.